remember the day that I met Karen Keifer. I remember it because it was during COVID and we were all at home and a little down in the dumps because we were missing being in our community. And our librarian wanted to do something really special for the kids. And so she reached out to the author, Karen Keifer, and Karen agreed to meet our entire school over Zoom. And she was so passionate and so engaging. And she met with our students and she read them her book, Drawing God. I wanted to share this with you because I think it's really important that we remember that students shouldn't be limited to picture books in just the primary grades. I'm Stephanie Horgan with Archangel Education and Technology, and I want to talk a little bit today about how the book by Karen Keifer, Drawing God, is going to be really inspiring for your middle school students. So I want to share that the book was written by Karen based off of her daughter's experience. And so this is based around one of her own daughters. And she shared this story with our students at the time, and I was so enthralled by her passion and how she spoke about the book. You could tell that she has a great love for this book because she worked so hard on it and because it was based on her own child. So Emma draws pictures. She says that they are pictures of God, but her classmates don't see God in them. And she wants to try and reach them and have them be able to see what she sees. And so the question that I would pose to middle school students is, where can you see God in everyday life? Sometimes it's interesting with middle school students. They forget that other people exist in the world. They feel like they are the center of the world, that everybody is looking at them, and that everything revolves around them. So helping them to see outside of themselves is something that is a challenge to do, but also I think necessary. Supposing the question, where can you see God in everyday life, can help them. So I want to take a stream approach to the book. And so when you introduce the book, this is a very simply written, beautiful book. It has lovely pictures. And so Emma, the character in the book, is drawing all these pictures. And we talk about the first picture that she draws is a loaf of bread. And her mom in the kitchen is making a loaf of bread, and it inspires her to draw a picture because she sees God in this loaf of bread. And she takes it to school, and her friends say, "That's a loaf of bread, Emma. That's not God. God's not there." And so, one way that you can pull science in is make leavened versus unleavened bread. You can actually cook it, put it together, knead the dough, discuss the reactions that cause the dough to rise and the effects of heating during the cooking process and what makes it leavened versus unleavened bread. You can also add this as a throwback to the Old Testament. And that would be a good way to bring it in. You can also talk about Jesus being the bread of life. In technology, this is an activity that I've seen done with second grade students, especially, but I think it would be really inspiring to see how middle schoolers would interpret what heaven looks like. And then you can use that as a background image and have them narrate over top of it and put together a slideshow of their images of how they see God, and also explain to in the narration, why is it heaven for you. You can bring in the writing piece where they have to write out what they're going to say, and record it in a podcast style. There's a lot of really helpful apps that can do that. And you can always bring in a piece about what does anybody really know what heaven looks like? We don't know what heaven looks like. So what do you think heaven is? And write down the thoughts. I love the simplicity of the younger students, but the depth of the middle school students of what they think heaven is and what their version of heaven is. Um, so I think it would be a really great question to pose to them. With engineering, students can work in groups to create pans to cook the bread in. They need to be sturdy enough to hold the bread while baking without cracking or having it fall apart. And so that's an engineering task that they can be assigned to do. And then you can talk about and bring in the art um, through talking about Picasso. Picasso was mentioned in the book, and it's a great opportunity for a virtual field trip to see some of Picasso's styles. And you can take a trip. You can talk about it. You can um, look at various images painted by Picasso, and then maybe even try drawing something in the Picasso style. And then finally, with math, you can bring in using the bread recipes, talking about double, tripling ingredients, and so measurement. You can look at how you would measure it, discuss multiplying your fractions, um, you know, 3 times 3/4. And so talk about looking at that and how you can multiply recipes. So there's a lot of really interesting ways that you can look at bringing STREAM into the middle school classroom while you all basing it in a picture book. I love the picture books for the older students. And as I've talked about before, I don't think that you should limit your picture books to students in the primary grades because the older kids love it too. I know that when I have read stories to the older students, they almost become entranced, and they love to look at the pictures in the book, and they want to see the pictures and they want to talk about the pictures. This is a great way to use your document camera as well to be able to project those words and images up onto the screen so that your class can read it together and they can stay engaged. I can't wait to hear how you use it. Uh, Reach out, let me know if you use Drawing God by Karen Keifer. I can't recommend it high enough. I also can't recommend reaching out to Karen as a guest speaker. She's fascinating, enthralling to listen to, and her passion behind her book really comes through during her speaking engagements. I hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.